What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So Mortal Kombat, of course, getting kicked off today. We're going to quickly talk about the times for that. And it seems like analysts are actually confused or surprised by the Switch. Like, the Switch seems to have caught them off guard with Nintendo's holiday sales. And do you remember that 20 million mark that they were shooting for that people didn't really think would be possible after their weaker sales in the first 6 months? It seems like that 20 million might not actually be that far out of reach. And then we saw Japan sales that kind of also helped back that. We're going to go over all of this. There's a lot to go over with those sales numbers. We're also going to talk a little bit about Death Stranding. We can do that because we actually saw Kojima go back to Guerrilla Games with a bit of a prototype to show them with their engine, their own engine. He takes it, I guess you let him go with it, go away for a bit with it, and he comes back with something that impresses you. He must be doing something pretty interesting. As always, guys, enjoy these videos, hit the like button, it does help out. Mortal Kombat is taking place today, at least the reveal event for Mortal Kombat 11. It's going to kick off 10:30 a.m. Pacific or 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and it seems that they're going to be showing, of course, pretty much all of Mortal Kombat 11 since it's also coming out a few months later. So we expect to see pretty much everything to get us ready for it, and that could also include guest characters. That's something a lot of us have kind of theorized or speculated on. Would there be some sort of guest character to be introduced before the game even comes out, not necessarily as downloadable content, post-content afterwards? That's kind of what we're thinking. And then also there's a lot of rumors around the Switch version possibly being delayed in some way, from retailers releasing different release dates from its counterparts on the Xbox and the PlayStation. Maybe they will clear that up. They also might tell us what studio is porting to the Switch. Something else a lot of people have wondered. Is it like maybe Iron Galaxy or Panic Button, right? Or Virtuos? There's a lot of companies that could be porting it. But overall, we'll see Mortal Kombat 11 in action today. Just make sure you tune in. It's going to be on stream and everything. You watch on YouTube and everything. I won't be live streaming it, but I will be covering it afterwards. So if you miss it, you can always tune in and see what happened. Also, we talked a bit about Bandai Namco, and we had that Dragon Ball event. They didn't really tell us anything. They just said, tune in later on this month. We have like the tournaments and everything, and we'll announce some new stuff, including DLC for Dragon Ball FighterZ, and something new that's not related to any of these other games or anything, something different. Well, it seems like Bandai Namco didn't want to wait too long to at least give us an idea as to what we could tune in for after people were pretty disappointed with this last live stream that didn't really tell us much of anything other than, I guess, that their Dragon Ball Heroes game was going to be localized. No, this is actually the tweet they put out. Check this thing out. This is actually from Bandai Namco Entertainment Europe, and they were quoting what the other band, or V-Jump, was talking about, saying, in 2019, the project of a new game focusing on the world of Dragon Ball Z begins. And more news coming to Dragon Ball FighterZ. The Warrior from Universe 11 is joining the fight. More information revealed. The Dragon Ball FighterZ World Tour Finals, January 26th to the 27th. Now, the Warrior from Universe 11 should be Jiren, and looking at this, other tweets were talking about it. Action RPG is what we're expecting out of this. So could it be a Xenoverse 3? Sure. But could it be something completely different? Yeah, it could be. And that's the exciting part, because Dragon Ball Z as an action RPG is I think, more interesting than the straight-up 3D fighting games. Technically, Xenoverse is an action RPG, but of course it's basically a fighting game, so to see like more of an adventure style would be pretty cool. We'll see though, because if this is just them trying something brand new with an action RPG, yeah, I'm interested. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start with Nintendo's financials, specifically their target goal of 20 million Switch units in this fiscal year. It was a target a lot of people were unsure of. I mean, I think everyone really was. It's like, man, 20 million is a lot to do in a fiscal year. That is quite a few systems to push. Of course, we look back now, Pokemon and Smash particularly, was massive, and then they had some other games thrown in there like Mario Party that ended up actually pushing along pretty well in Japan, for example. And then, of course, third-party games. And just in general, the older games have continued on as well. We see Zelda, we see Mario Kart in sales charts constantly, right? Mario Odyssey, so Splatoon, and you kind of keep moving on. Yeah, they seem to have been pushing Switch units pretty well in the holiday season, and we kind of figured they needed a lot. They needed a massive push. Because remember, leading up to the holidays, they were at just over 5 million units in the fiscal year. They need to get to 20, so they needed almost 15 million units. So what's changed now that kind of is making analysts think that they might be able to hit this 20 million, and it might actually be even easier than we originally thought? Check this out. This is actually a tweet that was put out by Takashi Machizuki, of course we've been following for quite a while, where they write up that Ace Research Institutes, as well as several other analysts, are not thinking that's as much of a long shot. In fact, Ace Research Institutes seems to be placing sales in this previous quarter. Because remember, we're already into the final quarter already, but into the previous quarter, third quarter then, between October and December, to be nearly 11 million units. It's even possible, by the way, that they are undercutting that. It could be more than 11 million in 3 months. That's ridiculous. That would place them at just over 16 million units, which means they need to get nearly 4 million in the January, February, March time, that season after Christmas, to get there. So the question is, could they do that? I mean, yeah, they could then. They could absolutely. And that would, I think, surprise some people, and then it also makes you wonder what they're going to aim for in the following quarter, well, the next fiscal year, what's their next setup going to be. The biggest thing, though, now that the systems are out there and they would be building up a massive install base, it's the software, because I told you guys before that the software wouldn't be an issue at all for them to hit this fiscal year. They were actually kind of underselling that. And yeah, they're going to blow past that. In fact, that's what analysts are expecting them to raise, is their software estimates, because they were already going to crush it. Here comes Pokemon. Here comes Smash. By the way, both releasing in that same quarter. So we're expecting in 2 weeks to hear quite a bit from Nintendo about their goals and about their plans going forward. Because consider this as well. We're going to be going into the last day of this month, January, with not a lot of release dates in front of us. We got Yoshi, of course. Yoshi's there, okay. But like looking forward, Animal Crossing, no release date, right? That has nothing right now. Fire Emblem, who knows? I don't know what's going on with that. But just in general, the Pokemon game, the actual mainline hardcore one, has no, like anything past Yoshi has like nothing. Like there's really not much set up for February, for example, and it seems like they would need some event of some kind to start announcing release dates, especially ahead of that investors briefing. You don't want to show up with great sales numbers, but not much planned for the future. That seems very weird. So maybe there is a direct setup before, some kind of event set up before the investors briefing, so they can walk in with great sales numbers and a bunch of release dates and maybe some new games that haven't been announced yet to get people excited. Either way, though, interesting to see, and we're going to see how this turns out, because Nintendo might hit not only their 20 million goal, but they might actually get past that. Next up, let's stick with sales numbers very quickly with the Media Crate sales results. These are the physical sales in Japan. We see them week to week, and you're going to see some games on here, specifically New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which is still an insane title, by the way, to have to say, or even put on a box. You're going to see that it actually did better than the Wii U when it launched. Yeah, it was a launch title for the Wii U, and you're going to see that it actually did better on the Switch in Japan with its re-release. Yes, for people who are unsure about the price, it seems like the price was good in Japan because it outsold it originally when it released back in 2012. Anyway, here are the charts, starting with number 1, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. That is 166,303. Originally, in 2012, it sold like 162,000 in its first week, so that's actually about right. Did outsell it by a couple thousand units, not bad. Number 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, again, makes sense. It's sticking in there. It is dropping down a bit, but I guess eventually you just run out of people to sell to in Japan. 2.6 million. That will be crossing 3 million over the next couple, I would say next couple weeks, maybe a month and a half it'll get there, depending on what kind of drop-off we continue to have here. Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition on the PS4 and then the Switch, so it actually sold quite a bit more on the PS4 at 41,510, and then the Switch 26,588. We'll see how they stick around in the charts, because something I noticed about Dragon Quest Builders 2 is that the Switch version, which is actually right below that at number 5, has actually stuck around a bit longer in the top 5 for the Switch as opposed to the PlayStation 4, and the PS4 was actually passed by the Switch for Dragon Quest Builders 2 because of that. Super Mario Party below that, that is coming up very rapidly on 1 million units, which still surprises me, by the way. In Japan, there's Dragon Quest Builders 2 on the PlayStation 4. Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee, that has fallen off quite a bit. And I look at the sales numbers in Japan, and because it's fallen off so much, it will end up being one of the worst selling Pokemon games in Japan. However, we are, of course, I think everyone is kind of unified on the next Pokemon game to come out later on this year. We'll see how that sells and how it continues to sell. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 9, and then Minecraft number 10. Shifting over to the hardware, the Switch at the top, 78,056 units. That is a pretty large drop-off. However, last year at this time, I specifically remember looking at the Media Create sales charts at that time, and we had to go over a massive drop down to 37,500 units, if you remember that, to where the PS4 had actually climbed above it, because if you remember, I believe Monster Hunter was like in the area and was coming out and everything. So yeah, there you go. It's the Switch actually didn't have as massive of a drop off. The PlayStation 4 below that, 18,301. That also had a very large drop off, larger drop off than the Switch, I would say there. The 3DS, again, massive drop off down to 5,705. PlayStation Vita, 1,711. And then the Xbox One dropped 105 units down to 50. Overall, looking at the sales charts, people probably are surprised about New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, but I've told people time and time again, it's a Mario game. It's probably going to sell because it's a Mario game. That's the way it is. Also, a lot of people did not experience this game despite, I mean, if you look in Japan, yeah, the Wii U still sold fairly well in Japan. Still, though, a lot of people who didn't want a Wii U have probably bought a Switch at this point, and this is probably new to them. Even at that $6 price tag, they probably don't care that much. But we'll see going forward what Nintendo has planned, as a lot of people are expecting some bigger games to kind of at least be talked about or even revealed in this final quarter of the fiscal year. And maybe we'll get some drops and releases within this time. Maybe Fire Emblem even makes it in to this quarter before April starts up. We'll see, but so far it seems like the Switch is already, again, working its way up to the PlayStation 4, only a couple 100,000 units behind it now. Next up, let's talk about Death Stranding, because Hideo Kojima, of course, working on Death Stranding, and pretty much secret, although he keeps showing us the game and we keep not understanding what he's trying to show us. As far as I can tell now, you play as a person, or Norman Reedus, who is delivering packages. You're a delivery person. And people come out of the ground, and that's about it. Anyway, this is Kojima's MO. He shows you the game, but he doesn't actually show you the game. So we'll see when it actually comes out. And I'm starting to think, believe it or not, it might be a 2019 game. Yeah, it's obviously a PS4 game. And, well, the reason I can say that is because they're playing it on the PS4 over at Guerrilla Games. And so Kojima decided to go back 3 years later to Guerrilla Games after getting the Decima engine from them. And now, if you don't know, Horizon Zero Dawn was built in the Decima engine, and they decided to give Kojima, after basically signing with Sony for everything, decided to use the Decima engine for Death Stranding. So he went there. They actually gave him, I guess, the source code in a box, probably in like a flash drive or something, and he took it with him. So then when he comes back, he brings the same box with him and, well, drops the demo into their PlayStation 4, and off they go. And it left them apparently very, very impressed. Now, this tells me, if it is at least a demo that's being shown around and brought to Guerrilla Games, it's exciting, because I'm starting to think, because we've heard they're in the polishing stage, we've heard that this could end up being a 2019 game. We've also heard that next year we might have a big focus on next generation. So I wouldn't be surprised if Death Stranding is a holiday 2019 game, and that would be pretty awesome. I think I'm just ready for this game to come out so I can figure out what this game is. I don't know if it'll come down to that, to where we actually have to buy it to figure it out, but the fact that they were impressed with Guerrilla Games was with their engine being used for this game, it makes me think that Kojima probably took it, did some crazy stuff in their engine that they wouldn't have even thought about, comes back to them and says, hey, check out this game that I built with your engine. And it sounds like they were just in awe as to what he was showing them. And yeah, he was playing with a PS4 controller, so we like to assume it's not hooked up to a computer and that it is on a PlayStation 4, so that we know it's not like a PS5 game or something. Either way, though, I'm at least interested and excited for what this could possibly be, just mostly so we can find out what it is. And our last bit of news, let's talk a bit about Wargroove, because after posting on Twitter that it would be supporting several different languages, they were then asked below that, when is it coming out? Is it even coming out soon? Because you guys keep delaying this thing. What's going on here? And, well, they responded with this tweet you're seeing here, saying very soon. More details even sooner. Soon. So, Wargroove. It was introduced to us in a Nintendo Direct, Indies Direct, technically, a Nindies, I guess you'd say. And so a lot of people have tied it to Nintendo platforms. It's probably coming out on everything. Seriously, it's all over the place. And a lot of people are now speculating that maybe the reveal event for this and its release date could be tied to a Nintendo Direct or some other event, right? We've seen indies happen every year, and we even saw it kind of happen around this time last year, if you remember. We had like the mini Direct, and then eventually we got like a little indies presentation that went up. I know we had one around Gamescom later on as well in the year and everything, but they keep doing these indie events. I wonder if they have something set up for Wargroove. That would be cool. And maybe Wargroove actually is closer, which, by the way, they've started actually reaching out to reviewers for review codes. So maybe that means that it is actually sooner than later. I've actually sent in for one too, so hopefully I can check it out, maybe show you guys in a video. But that'll mean that maybe we are getting kind of close to, one, its reveal, and two, its release. I don't know. It's interesting to talk about, and we'll see going forward. But they definitely dropped the hints on Twitter that more info is coming soon, and possibly a release date very soon. We'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is Death Stranding. Maybe you want to go over that a bit, and maybe you can make sense of what we've seen so far. Or you want to talk about Nintendo's sales with the media crates, or their chances at hitting 20 million in this fiscal year. I have a feeling they're going to get there, and I think it'll be close, but they might actually beat it by a couple 100,000. That would be pretty impressive based on our views like months and months ago. Half a year ago, we weren't really sure at all. So we'll see. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.